okay, for you to try to come up with something.
I'm not coming up with anything because I've got people who will talk to you for me, to tell you. But what I'm saying is, he's bragging. His intent was not only to harm her, but someone else.
Consider the chilling scenario of a young mother of two's life being brutally taken, and the culprit audaciously maintaining an air of moral superiority when confronted by the police. This is the perplexing tale of Amelia Carr. Back in 2009, a sinister love triangle involving Carr culminated in a shocking murder. But what drove her to end Heather Strong's life? Were there any precursors to this dreadful incident? Let's delve deeper into these probing questions and unravel more intriguing aspects of Amelia Carr's perplexing case. While this isn't our initial investigation in Florida, it could potentially be our inaugural case in Citra, Marion County. Notably, Citra is more rural than urban, offering limited recreational activities. This scarcity of diversions might shed light on why the three individuals involved in this case sought to inject some thrill into their mundane lives. Regrettably, the thrill one day concluded with an abrupt disappearing act.
We're currently looking into the disappearance of your daughter.
Yes.
Okay, have you heard from her?
No, I haven't.
When was the last time you heard from her?
Somewhere about the 10th, 11th, or 12th of February.
Is this unusual for...
Yes, it is. And Heather's birthday is Monday. And if she doesn't call me Monday, I know something's wrong.
At the age of 26, Heather Strong was a dedicated single mother to two children, maintaining a deep bond with her own mother. When Heather unexpectedly disappeared for nearly a week, her mother, sensing something amiss, grew seriously concerned. Her work associates, too, did not delay in notifying the authorities by dialing 911 when Heather's uncharacteristic absence from work extended over several days.
She was a good employee. That's why when she didn't come to work, we all knew something was wrong, because she always showed up for work. She was a single mother raising kids.
Welcome to Real Crime Explained, the channel that delves deep into the mysteries and intricacies of the most captivating criminal cases from around the world. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and become part of our family. In the middle of February, Heather was reported missing by her mother. Despite a month of rigorous search efforts, the police continued to investigate her disappearance.
Heather Strong was originally reported missing somewhere around February 15th, 2009. And at this time, it's like March 18th, 2009. So it's about a month, a little over a month later. And as far as we knew, no one had seen her since that time. During this period, an investigator made inquiries at the Iron Skillet restaurant situated within Reddick Petrol Station, Heather's former place of employment. Engaging in discussions with her colleagues, he discovered that on the day she vanished, Heather had expressed distress over a particularly unsettling conversation with her estranged spouse, Josh Fulcom.
She indicated to other people that she just needed to get away from him.
The investigators were aware that it was crucial to engage in a dialogue with both her and Josh. At first, Josh presented himself as amicable, compliant, and seemingly oblivious regarding Heather's location. However, he later proposed a theory. Perhaps Heather had absconded to join her family in Mississippi.
She said she wanted to get the hell out of Dodge. Wanted me to keep the kids, but when she gets it cleared up, she's coming home. And Heather always coming home. She always does, and I've always taken her back, but this time I'm not taking her back.
Several discrepancies arose in Josh's account of the events. Initially, Heather had confided in a co-worker about her intent to keep her children away from Josh, making it highly unlikely for her to leave them under his supervision on the very same day. Furthermore, Josh professed that he collected Heather from her workplace on the day she vanished. However, surveillance footage revealed Heather was absent from her place of work that day. Josh had provided a detailed description of her attire and mentioned she was carrying travel bags, but there is no evidence to substantiate these claims.
You know there's video at Petrol, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, they got cameras all around it.
Ain't no video
Of what?
of Heather at that Petrol on that date, all day, all night.
Josh's relationship with Heather was in a precarious state, significantly impacted by the presence of another woman, Amelia Carr. When Amelia was summoned to the police station for an interview, she was heavily pregnant, carrying Josh's child. This would be her fourth child, each from a different father. A cursory investigation into her past prompted the detectives to delve deeper. Amelia was born on August 4, 1984, the middle child of 3 sisters. At a tender age of 15, she reported enduring sexual abuse from her father since she was 4. Consequently, she and one of her sisters were entrusted to the state's care. Despite her youth, Amelia married at 16 and gave birth to her first child. She subsequently had a string of casual relationships, resulting in more children and a tumultuous life riddled with abusive partners and destructive relationships. Tragically, the monstrous male figure in her childhood seemed to have laid down a dreadful template that she would, albeit unknowingly, adhere to throughout her adult life. In 2004, her father was found guilty of conspiring to murder his family, which included Amelia, one of her sisters, and their mother, adding to the already significant damage he had inflicted upon the family. Ironically, his failed attempt at homicide set yet another dreadful precedent for Amelia. Amidst Heather's disappearance, Amelia had an active restraining order against one of her former partners and was on probation for a grand theft involving exotic birds. In November 2008, mere months prior to Heather's disappearance, Amelia became engaged to Josh Fulgham. However, in a surprising turn of events, Josh married Heather instead in December of the same year. When their relationship hit a rocky patch, Josh found solace back in Amelia's company.
Knew that Josh had lived with her for a time and then left her and married Heather and then went back to Amelia.
Josh and Heather's relationship was very off and on. They would be great together for a little while, and then they would separate, and she would leave, and she would take the kids, and then they would get back together for a little while, and then something would go wrong again, and it was just not a healthy relationship at all.
Amelia was always the one to step in and rectify the situation. The investigators were fully aware of this fact when they initiated her questioning in March 2009. Given her challenging history and strained relationship with Heather, they regarded her with a degree of suspicion. However, in her responses, she demonstrated a cautious selection of words.
Hey.
Hey,
Tired?
I'm exhausted. About my bedtime.
I'm trying to make this quick as possible, okay? I appreciate you coming up here.
You look tired too.
Very tired. I appreciate you coming up here. Understand, you're not pressured to be here. Tell me the relationship between you, Josh, and Heather.
They split up. Me and him tried a relationship, and then in December, he wanted to work things out for his kids' sake, and we parted ways. And we just agreed that when she came along, we'd have some kind of civil relationship, and it's hard when you got 5 kids between different people.
Indeed, the relationship dynamics were significantly more complex. Heather, a mother of 2, and Amelia, with her 3 children, often found themselves co-parenting the combined brood of 5, despite their evident animosity towards each other. The presence of Josh only served to further complicate matters, with both women unable to completely sever ties. Consequently, they frequently found themselves functioning more like a disjointed family than a harmonious unit.
Explain the relationship between you and her.
There wasn't really ever one. Excuse me. We had a little bit of contact over the 4 months because she would, when she felt up to it, allow him to see his kids. So we had some kind of contact, but I usually got the, I'm gonna kill you.
Intriguingly, Amelia, the very same individual, would later assert their close friendship.
Me and Heather had a lot of similarities in our past. Just a lot of things growing up. We had a lot of similar passions. She wanted to be a teacher. You know, I became a massage therapist. We got along really well.
The investigators observed that Amelia was judicious in sharing only fragments of information, meticulously narrating the tale of the romantic triangle.
Amelia was a thinker. She was more calculating in everything that she said. She was aware that what she say may come back to bite her.
Oh, I'm hoping you guys find her. I mean...
Well, we're gonna find her with your help.
Prior to conducting the interrogations, law enforcement officials successfully located Heather's credit card transactions at a particular retail outlet. the store's surveillance system captured a man engaging in transactions using her card.
A man come up, and he comes up and he uses the card, and obviously I can see from the printout of the ATM that he uses Heather's card.
Upon discovery, it was indeed Josh Fulcom at the center of the matter. During the confrontation, he clarified that Heather had entrusted the card to him prior to her departure for Mississippi.
Why didn't she take that with her? I can understand her leaving the other.
Because, see, she gets paid every 2 weeks. And what she told me was to take that. Just give me half. You keep the other half, there'll be $70 on there.
Yeah. She told me you used it and nothing was on it.
Yeah, I went to, and it wouldn't let me.
If this doesn't raise eyebrows, I'm not sure what would. There was an additional element to consider, a typewritten letter that Josh presented to the police, purportedly from Heather, consenting to grant him sole custody of their children. The inference drawn by the investigators was rather straightforward. If he had the children, he would be exempt from paying child support. The detective swiftly seized upon this questionable document.
Okay, did you threaten her to sign her name?
Man, come on now. This kid's not going too far.
Huh?
No, I did not.
You wanted them kids. You didn't want her to have
No, I'm going to be honest with you, man.
You
I'm
didn't want her to,
no,
you didn't want her. She was sitting up there telling you, you weren't going to never see them kids.
No, she was not.
Mm-hmm.
No, she was.
It is universally acknowledged by those acquainted with Heather that she was a devoted mother who would never abandon her children, particularly in the company of Josh, a man with a documented history of abusive behavior. In January 2009, merely a month following their nuptials, Josh escalated his conduct by menacing Heather with a shotgun. Subsequently, he was apprehended and served a 1-month sentence. Strikingly, upon his release, Heather vanished. The final documented communication between them is a disturbing call from Josh, made from jail, in which he attempts to persuade Heather to retract the charges against him.
You're not gonna do that, Josh. You're gonna kill me when you get out of jail.
And 8 days after Heather had signed the paper, she went missing.
Numerous indications suggested Josh could be the one, while an equal number of signs were in favor of Amelia, and for a straightforward reason.
If it's out of anger, that's fine. I understand. I'd be pissed off at it too, because I like this man, and this man constantly goes back to this girl that ain't shit.
Could it be possible that Josh eliminated Heather as retaliation for her actions which led to his arrest and her attempts to alienate him from his children? Alternatively, might Amelia have been the perpetrator, eliminating Heather to clear a path to claim Josh exclusively for herself? Unfortunately, the truth is quite distressing.
You don't care nothing about her, do you?
Well, I do, but not like I do Heather.
During a brief interlude for a cigarette, Josh shared that Amelia was responsible for looking after Heather.
I'm telling you that he said that you told him that you guys took care of Heather and for him not to worry about her anymore.
Who's you guys?
You.
The inquiry team rigorously questioned Josh in relation to his assertions that Amelia singularly participated in the homicide of Heather.
Tell me she never asked you, if she was going to do it, she never asked you what was the best way to do it? She never asked you where's the best place to
Man, I ain't no murderer, man. I don't know what the best way to kill people and get rid of them is.
This is the method employed by law enforcement to persuade Josh to lead them to Heather's body.
To jail.
That's where you want to go, my man.
That's where I want to go, man. I got no choice.
You got all the choice, brother.
I don't know what else to do.
What else you got in your pockets, bro?
Wow. You let me take that by my mama if I take you to it? We'll go right now.
You take me to where Heather is, I'll take your wallet to your mom.
On the 19th of March, a shocking discovery was made. Heather's body was unearthed from a shallow grave adjacent to a storage unit owned by Amelia's mother. The tragic details of Heather's demise are harrowing. Her assailant attempted to break her neck, was unsuccessful, and then chose to suffocate her by placing a plastic bag over her head while she was restrained to a chair. This brutal act led to her untimely death. Amelia, who had managed to return home, was subsequently apprehended once more. In a sudden revelation, Amelia pointed to Josh as the primary perpetrator.
He drug strangled her, whatever he told me. Is what I was told.
Why didn't you tell me all this in the beginning?
Because I didn't put two and two. I thought he was full of crap.
During the course of their legal proceedings, both Josh and Amelia implicated each other as responsible for Heather's demise. However, law enforcement authorities were privy to two crucial pieces of information. Firstly, it was Josh who had led them to discover Heather's remains, and secondly, these remains were found on Amelia's premises. Upon further interrogation, Amelia made a startling admission. She had actually seen Heather's lifeless body, and Josh had confessed to bringing it there in a state of panic.
Now there's a whole new story. Now there's more. So when we sat across the hall and you shed tears and you swore to me that was it, you were lying again.
Amelia's credibility was significantly undermined by her dishonesty, further complicated by her audacious proposition to a friend, offering a sum of $500 to orchestrate Heather's demise. To make matters worse, there was her father's attempted murder looming over her. Fortunately, her friend rejected the murder proposition. However, Amelia eventually took decisive, albeit severe, action herself. Consequently, prosecutor Rock Hooker rigorously sought the death penalty.
I just simply believe there are times when people do things that are so heinous, so calculated, that we have an obligation to say, you have forfeited your right to live among us.
In the case of the first-degree murder and kidnapping of Heather, 25-year-old Amelia received a severe sentence. This made her the youngest female to be placed on death row in Florida's history. As for Josh, he was given a life sentence with no possibility for parole. From behind bars, he admitted to being present at the scene when Amelia committed the fatal act against Heather.
And I heard her make like a gurgling noise in her throat or something. And I pulled her down on the floor. I done it, Mama. I didn't do it by myself. But I done it.
The matter was not about choosing between Josh and Amelia. Their distinct motivations coalesced into a deeply unsettling scheme. Nonetheless, even after more than 10 years, Amelia continues to assert her innocence.
Everyone in prison will tell you they're innocent. Either they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, they were framed, or they had a confession beat of them by law enforcement. I'm actually one of those people. I am sitting on death row for nothing more than a series of lies, while the person who actually committed the crime got a life sentence.
The perspectives on Amelia's innocence are highly polarized.
She was very good at manipulating people. She was very conniving.
She was an innocent that was manipulated by law enforcement into giving a false confession.
She's, I think, truly what you would call a sociopath.
Indeed, her innocence can be disputed. Attached is a recorded dialogue between her and Josh's sister for your reference.
You put the bag over her head. We tried to her neck, that didn't work. You did.
It is profoundly distressing when an individual guilty of murder refuses to acknowledge their culpability. Can there be any resolution for Heather's family when Amelia continues to portray herself as the victim?